Welcome to gcreddy Technologies. Writing Selenium test cases. How we write Selenium test cases? After setting up the Selenium test environment, we need to focus on writing Selenium test cases. First, selecting manual test cases. Writing test cases is an important activity or important task in automated testing, not only for Selenium. You take any test automation tools, UFT, RFT, Silk test, etc., test complete, etc. Writing test cases is an important activity or task in automated testing. Executing test cases is very simple. Tool can execute a series of tests easily with or without human user efforts. If it is manual testing, for executing each and every test case, human user means tester interaction is mandatory. But in automated test execution, tool can execute series of tests quickly. Okay. Test engineers need to write instructions using test tool features and programming concepts. Already I told test execution is simple task in automated testing. Test tool can execute series of test cases with fewer human user interaction. Next, selecting manual test case. Generally, we don't write automated tests using requirements or user stories. We select manual test cases and automate. And our test lead selects manual test cases for automation with the contribution of team members. Next, no limitations to select manual test cases for automation. But generally, we select sanity test cases, data-driven test cases, and regression test cases for automation. Sanity test cases that can be executed on every modified build. Next, data-driven test cases that can be executed using multiple sets of test data. Next, regression tests that can be executed on modified builds, multiple times execution. So we go for automation. Okay. Next, in case of Selenium or any functional test tool like UFT, RFT, etc., first we need to focus on elements. Terminology may vary from one environment to another. For example, if it is UFT, formerly QTP, we use object term, object, button is object, link is object, image is object. But in our Selenium, we use element. Say here web or HTML elements. Selenium supports web testing only, web application testing only. It doesn't support desktop application testing or mobile application testing. UFT, competitor of Selenium tool, functional test tool. UFT is commercial tool. UFT supports desktop applications, web applications, and mobile applications. Okay. Here we need to focus on web or HTML element locators. What are web or HTML elements? Buttons, links, edit boxes, radio buttons, images, etc. First, test tool in our scenario, Selenium. Test tool has to locate elements, then it can perform the test operations. Suppose click Gmail link in Google homepage. Here element is Gmail link, click is action on the element. Our Selenium first need to recognize the Gmail link, then it can perform click action on it. Next, enter a value into edit box, username edit box. Edit box is element, entering a value is action. Next, that value is parameter. Okay. Say, to locate web elements, Selenium uses HTML locators. Selenium supports 8 types of locators to locate or identify or recognize elements in web pages. We can use any one of those locators to locate an element uniquely. We need to select unique locator. How to select unique locator for an element? We have to follow element selector tips from Selenium official website, selenium.dev. Next, perform dry run, sample run. Then you can identify unique locators. Next, Selenium supports 8 locators now. ID, name, class name, tag name, link text, partial link text, CSS selector, and XPath. We use a browser, any browser, Google Chrome or Mozilla Firefox or Microsoft Edge to inspect web elements. Selenium doesn't inspect web elements. Using a browser, we have to inspect and get element locators. Next, WebDriver methods. Selenium WebDriver methods are used to perform actions on web elements. See, Selenium WebDriver doesn't have UI, user interface, like UFT. Suppose UFT tool has user interface. It has menus and menu features. For example, recording. Next, checkpoints, object repositories, output values, recovery scenarios, etc. But Selenium WebDriver doesn't have any built-in feature. We need to write the code for every action. Okay, using Selenium WebDriver methods, we can perform actions on web elements. What are actions? Click a link. Click is action on the link element. Click a button. Enter a value into an edit box. Select an item in the drop-down box. Select a radio button. Check or uncheck a checkbox, etc. Next, important Selenium WebDriver methods are get this method on browser, get method, get title, get URL. Next, navigation methods, driver.close, driver.quit. Next, important methods on elements, find elements, send keys, click, clear, get attribute, get text, is verification methods. Is displayed, is enabled, is selected. Is displayed method checks whether an element is visible or not in the web page. Is enabled, it checks enabled status of an element. Is selected, it is only applicable for checkboxes and radio buttons. Next, programming concepts. Say, using element locators and WebDriver methods, we write Selenium test steps. General navigation. For example, launch browser, navigate to, for example, icicbank.com, click personal login, personal link or button. Next, enter username, enter password, click sign in button. That is general navigation. We can write general navigation, but that is not sufficient. In our test cases, we need to handle with different types of data. Next, we need to handle runtime errors. We create reusable functions for test cases, etc. For that, programming support is required. Suppose if I select Java for Selenium, my test environment is Java, Selenium WebDriver, TestNG testing framework. Programming concepts. What is the role of programming? We use programming concepts to enhance the Selenium test cases. First one, programming syntax for writing Selenium test cases. Say, suppose Java syntax, every statement should end with semicolon. In Selenium test cases also, if you use Java with Selenium, every Selenium test step should end with semicolon. Next, Java is case sensitive. Selenium test cases are also case sensitive. Like programming syntax for, we use programming syntax for writing our Selenium test cases. Next, we use programming comments, comment syntax to write comments in our test cases. Next, we use programming data types and variables to handle different types of data in our test cases. Next, we use programming loop statements for data-driven testing. Next, we use, for example, Java methods for creating reusable functions for our test cases. Next, we use programming exception handling mechanism for handling runtime errors in our test cases, etc. Next, TestNG testing framework. Testing framework. Say if we use Java, then supported testing frameworks are either JUnit or TestNG. TestNG is advanced one, inspired by JUnit. If you use .NET for C#.NET for Selenium, then you need to use NUnit as testing framework. Suppose if you use Python for Selenium, then we have to use PyTest or PyUnit as testing framework. I suppose I am using Java, so I selected TestNG as testing framework. What is the role of testing framework in our Selenium testing? Testing framework is used as test runner for our Selenium test cases. By integrating a testing framework like TestNG, we can perform creating test batches, prioritizing test cases, grouping test cases, next inserting verification points and generating test reports, etc. This is the writing test cases process. Next, one example, automating a manual test case using Selenium. Say a manual test case. Verify admin login functionality in gcrShop application, our sample application admin interface. First launch that URL. This is the admin interface URL. First launch a browser. Next, navigate to our admin interface home page. Next, enter username, suppose gcreddy. Next, enter password temp at 2020. Click login button. Next, how to verify how to confirm the login functionality. Here, right side top, Logoff link is there. Logoff link is there. By verifying the existence of Logoff link, we can confirm the login functionality. If login is successful, then you can get Logoff link. Otherwise, no Logoff link. Suppose I am entering invalid input. Click login, error message, no Logoff link. After verifying the Logoff link existence, then close the browser window. Here, input data or test data, username, two fields require test data in this scenario. For this test case, username gcreddy, password temp at 2020. You also can practice this one. Okay. Launch manual test steps. Launch browser, navigate to gcrShop admin interface admin interface login page, enter username, enter valid username, enter valid password, click login button, return the current URL. Return the current, no, return the, just a minute, return the displayed status of Logoff link, close browser window, input data, verification point, verify the existence of Logoff link after clicking on the login button. Next, expected availability of Logoff link, actual after test case execution, test result, pass or fail after test case execution by comparing the expected with actual. Next, comments optional. Next, in this for this test case, we work with 4 elements. Username edit box. For that, I took name locator. I identified name locator as unique. Name locator value username. Password edit box, type of element is edit box. Locator name, password. Next, login button, I took ID locator. Next, ID locator value TDB1. Next, Logoff link. It is text link. For links, text links, image link is different. For text links, we no need to inspect. We can use link text. Visible text as link text. Logoff. Next, required Selenium WebDriver methods for this functionality. Say, navigate to gcrShop application. Get URL. Get is WebDriver method. Next, entering a value into username edit box. For that, I used send keys. Value parameter. Next, enter a value into password edit box. Send keys method, value. Next, button click. Click is WebDriver method. Next, I returned the Logoff link displayed status. Is displayed. It returns Boolean value. Boolean means logical value, true or false. If exists, true, otherwise false. Is displayed is Selenium WebDriver method. Next, Java programming involvement in this test case. In this small test case, we use Java syntax to write test case. Okay. Next, we used Java data type and variable to return the Logoff link displayed status. Here observe, Boolean status equals to, this Boolean belongs to Java data type, status is variable name. Okay. Next, TestNG testing framework. We used TestNG testing framework, assert methods to insert verification points and generating test reports. Observe, this is the test case. Say, above, which one? This is the manual test case. Next, I automated that manual test cases using Selenium. This is Selenium WebDriver test case. I automated this manual test cases using Selenium WebDriver, Java, and TestNG. Okay. Java and TestNG support technologies for Selenium in this scenario. Here at the rate test, it is TestNG annotation. Next, Boolean status belongs to Java. Next, syntax belongs to Java. Next, name, HTML locator. Find element, WebDriver method. Send keys, WebDriver method. Thread.sleep. I used some wait time for loading next page, login page. After click, thread.sleep. 3000 milliseconds means 3 seconds. Safe side, I used this one. Actually, no synchronization required for this test case. It is executing quickly. But safe side, I used 3 seconds sleep time. 3000 milliseconds means 3 seconds. This thread belongs to Java. Next, Boolean status belongs to Java. Next, assert. Assert belongs to TestNG. Selenium WebDriver doesn't have any built-in result report facility. So we take help from testing framework. Assert equals belongs to TestNG. Next, driver.close belongs to Selenium WebDriver. This is about automating a manual test cases using Selenium. Thank you.